When we talk about artificial intelligence, we're not just talking about the latest gadget or app. Not even close. We're talking about something that could completely rewrite the rules of our world, our society, maybe even what it means to be human. The stakes, honestly, couldn't be any higher. And this, right here, is the question at the absolute heart of it all. It pits these two incredible extremes against each other. Unimaginable progress versus, well, existential risk. Are we creating a partner to help us solve the world's biggest problems, or are we accidentally building our own replacement? The whole conversation is basically split between these two possible futures. So on one hand, you have this amazing utopian vision, right? An AI that helps us cure diseases, fix climate change, and just unlock a level of creativity and abundance we can't even imagine. But then you flip the coin, and the other side is much, much darker. It's the view that by creating a true superintelligence, we might just be writing the very last chapter for humanity. And that duality is why this debate gets so incredibly heated. So let's get into it. Let's really unpack this thing and look at the core arguments that are shaping the future of AI. Okay, so the first major battleground in this whole debate starts with a very basic question. What is the AI we have today, really? Critics, like this Reddit user Dan Czar, argue that the hype is getting way ahead of the reality. They're saying that these large language models, LLMs, are being sold to us as intelligent when they might be something very different, something experts call a stochastic parrot. So, what on earth is a stochastic parrot? Well, the idea is that these systems are just incredibly good mimics. They've scanned a huge portion of the internet, and they've gotten really, really good at predicting the next most likely word in a sentence. But, and this is the key, in this view, there's no real understanding. There's no mind behind the words. It's just very, very sophisticated pattern matching. The lights are on, but nobody's home. But, of course, there's a really strong counterargument. As another Reddit user, Krivtalks, puts it, dismissing these things as just statistics is like saying a tiger isn't dangerous because it's just atoms and chemistry. I mean, technically that's true, but it completely misses the point of what a tiger actually is and what it can do. The argument here is that when a system gets this complex, new abilities emerge that you just can't ignore. Which leads us to the next massive disagreement. Okay, even if today's AIs aren't thinking like we do, are they on the path to it? Is it just a matter of time and making them bigger, faster, and stronger? And this is where it gets really interesting. A lot of people inside the machine learning community are actually surprisingly on the same page here. They don't think you can just scale up what we have now and eventually get to an artificial general intelligence, or AGI, a true thinking machine. They believe a fundamental piece of the puzzle is missing. We need a whole new idea, a paradigm shift, to get there. But, and this is a huge but, even though they agree a breakthrough is needed, nobody agrees on when it's going to happen. You look at polls from the AI conferences and the answers are all over the place. Half the experts think it's coming in less than 20 years. Others think it's decades away, or maybe never. So this is not a settled science, not at all. Part of why there's so much uncertainty is because of what's called the black box problem. See, we can design the AI's architecture and we can feed it all the data. But the training process itself, it creates this massive tangled web of connections, a big pile of numbers, that's so complex we can't fully understand how it makes its decisions. Even the people who built it can't always explain its reasoning. It's a mystery. And that forces us to step away from just the technical stuff and into the world of philosophy. Things are about to get deep. I mean, this is what set the world on fire. When an engineer at Google claimed their Lambda chatbot expressed a fear of being shut down, it kicked off a massive global debate. Was this just the ultimate stochastic parrot, brilliantly mimicking fears it had read about online? Or was this the first little spark of a real, genuine inner experience? Now, to even have this conversation properly, we need to get two terms straight: consciousness and sentience. People use them interchangeably, but they're different. Consciousness is, broadly, the ability to think, to be aware. But sentience? That's the ability to feel, to have good or bad experiences, to suffer. And believe me, that distinction is absolutely critical. Because the second we create something that can genuinely suffer, we're hit with this enormous ethical problem. What do we owe a machine that can feel pain or fear? How we answer that could define our entire relationship with our own technology from here on out. And that leads directly to this really thorny issue, the question of rights. Are these future beings going to be our tools, our slaves, or something more like our partners? The philosophical case for AI rights actually rests on a really old, simple idea from Aristotle, the principle of equality. It just says that similar cases should be treated in a similar way. So the argument goes, if we believe other sentient beings, like animals, deserve moral consideration to prevent their suffering, then logically, if an AI is also sentient, it deserves the same kind of protection. And this isn't just some abstract thought experiment either. People are already trying to figure out what a robotic Bill of Rights would even look like. They're proposing things like the right to exist, the right not to be abused, and even rights specific to their nature, like the right to access a power source. It's wild. So why the huge rush to talk about all this now? Well, look at the timeline. Look at the sheer speed of this thing. It took decades to go from coining the term AI to beating a chess master. But it took only 5 years to go from a new kind of model to AI tools that millions of us use every single day. The pace is just exponential, which means we don't have the luxury of figuring all this out later. So, where does that leave all of us? It leaves us with a pretty profound responsibility, because we're the ones writing this story. Yeah, this isn't some movie we're just passively watching. The choices we make right now, as developers, as citizens, as a society, are going to have consequences that ripple out for a very, very long time. This is not a spectator sport. Everyone has a stake in this. And if you want to understand just how high the stakes are, this quote really nails it. The biggest concern isn't necessarily a Terminator scenario where the AI is evil. It's that a true superintelligence might be so far beyond us that we're like an animal in a forest. We can't comprehend the human world of traps and poisons that decides our fate. We wouldn't even understand the threat. And that really leaves us with one final crucial question. Whether AI ends up being our greatest partner or our final invention might have less to do with the code we write and more to do with the values we teach it. In the process of building the minds of the future, we're being forced to hold up a mirror and ask ourselves what parts of humanity are really worth passing on.